Chyngyz Aitmatov was a Kyrgyz and Soviet author who wrote in both languages, Russian and Kyrgyz. He is the best-known figure in Kyrgyzstan's literature. He was born on December 12, 1928 in a small village called Sheker, the foothills of the Tian Shan Mountains near the Chinese border. Raised up in a multicultural family with a Kyrgyz father and Tatar mother. In 1937, his father was charged with bourgeois nationalism in Moscow and arrested and executed in 1938. Aitmatov lived at a time when Kyrgyzstan was being transformed from one of the most remote lands of the Russian Empire to a republic of the USSR. Evidently, he studied at a Soviet school in Sheker. In the province of Talas region, he also worked from an early age at 14. In 1956 to 1958, he switched to university at the Maxim Gorky Literature Institute in Moscow. For the next 8 years, he worked for Pravda. His first two publications appeared in 1952 in Russian. His first work was published in Kyrgyz was Akhjan. When translated, it means white rain, was written in 1954. And his well-known work to the world is Jamila. Jamila appeared in 1958 and was a big success for Mr. Aitmatov. One of my favorite quotes from his words are, "The hardest thing for a person to be a person from day to day." He believed that working on yourself every day is the key for success. He was described as a magical socialist realist in the Russian press. He was able to combine elements of Kyrgyz folk tales and epics with formally traditional Russian realism. A communist true believer, he never shied away from exploring and exposing in his prose the darkest aspects of Soviet reality. He was not a political dissenter, but posed an honest heart and melancholy philosophical mind, intended to attribute the shortcomings of Soviet reality not to the evils of the political system, but to inherent flaws of human nature, which the system was expected to correct. But until that day happy arrived, he tended to show the world as he saw it, full of bigotry, cruelty, sexism, patriarchal brutality, and general lack of harmony in the way people treat each other. All this is punctuated by beautiful scenes of human kindness, wisdom, love, and devotion, set against the background of the stunning Central Asian landscape which he poetically evoked. These themes are also presented in his other novels and plays, including The First Teacher in 1962, Farewell Gusara in 1966, The White Ship in 1970s, and The Mark of Cassandra, 1995. In addition to his literary work, Aitmatov was Kyrgyzstan's ambassador to the European Union, NATO, UNESCO, Belgium, Luxembourg, and Netherlands, and spent many years in Brussels. Chyngyz Aitmatov died in a clinic of the German city of Nuremberg on Tuesday, June 10. He was 79 years old. The reason for the death of the writer, the PA agency called pneumonia. Aitmatov was taken to the hospital Nuremberg Sud Clinic on May 19, 2008 with a diagnosis of renal failure. Earlier on May 16, he was urgently hospitalized in Kazan. From there, he was transported to Germany where he rested with the world. Several of his stories were turned into popular movies. Aitmatov was working on the set of the film based on his science fiction-infused philosophical parable The Day Lasts More Than 100 Years, when he was stricken by his illness.